Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, I hope you are all well. We are starting our class for Akhlaq, the ethics class, inshallah. We start with Dua al-Faraj, with the hastening appearance of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, Ajallah ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا يا رب الحسين بحق الحسين اشفي صدر الحسين وظهور الحجة. I hope you're all at your best. You're all doing good, inshallah, in these times. Certainly not good times. It is a dark time we're going through, but it is, of course, a test that we, inshallah, we will finish and we will prevail, inshallah. Before I start the class, I give some moments until the other brothers join in. It is getting closer to the month of Ramadan, a day or two, and we enter the holy month of Ramadan. And the holy month of Ramadan, as we discussed in our previous class, we said that the holy month of Ramadan is a month of mercy, the month of forgiveness, the month of which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the doors, the gates of paradise, the gates of His forgiveness, His blessings, His favors, and closes the gates of inferno. So we are about to enter this month, and this month it is a very important opportunity and very important moments that we must seize. Every moment of this month, the month of Ramadan, can determine the rest of the year for us, especially Laylatul Qadr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. We are getting closer to this beautiful month. We, alhamdulillah, every year we have the opportunity to fast this month and recite the Ad'iyah and reach Laylatul Qadr. But this year is a bit different since we cannot have any gatherings, we don't have any of the mosques, Husayniyat, and the Marakiz having any of the programs. Many of the programs, actually all of the programs were cancelled due to the pandemic, and most of what's happening now is going to be online. So we're going to miss out on this part of the socializing and having this gathering, supplicating together and praying together and having the majalis of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam. So coming to the class, this class, the ethics class, the reason for this class is that especially now, since we are entering the holy month of Ramadan, is that we want to clean our soul. We want to clean our hearts, our intentions before we enter the holy month of Ramadan. So when we enter the holy month of Ramadan, we have a clean heart. We have clean intentions. When we do such a thing, we don't have any of the issues that we spoke about. This is our 5th class. We spoke about anger on our first sessions, and then we spoke about shukr. And now, inshallah, a new topic we'll be speaking about today. So preparing oneself for entering the holy month of Ramadan. So when we enter the holy month of Ramadan, the heart, the mind is clean. So we have this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We get the most out of these moments. Brothers and sisters, this is the whole reason of these classes. Especially for this class, the ethics class. The ethics class is beyond of what everyone thinks of how important it is. When a person determines to have a life of comfort, the first comfort that comes to mind, to the person's mind, must be the comfort of the soul, the comfort of the mind. If a person is wealthy, living in a mansion and having the best of the cars, but yet his soul is diseased, he has a lot of problems, and this is much more problematic than for a person to have a cold or flu. So we have two types of disease. One is a physical one that we get, cold, flu, and other illness and sickness that comes to mind. And another one is that it's much worse, is the disease of the soul, the ruh. And that is what we see today. For example, depression. If a person is depressed, he's in anxiety. Some of the people, unfortunately, they become so depressed, they think to commit suicide. Why? Because their soul is in such a problem, and they face in such a hardship that they can't cope with it anymore. And of course, there are many others. That's why in the book that we're covering, in the book of Akhlaq wal Adab al Islamiyya, you can see that in that book, inshallah, we will get to there. We will be talking about also the Afatul Lisan. Afatul Lisan. Al Lisan, Amir al Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam says, Al Lisan, Jirmuhu Saghir, wa Jurmuhu Kabir. Lisan, tongue, uh, of course, it's small in size, but the grave dangers that this tongue commits, the sins and the problems that it causes, there's no any other parts of the human body that cause any much of the problems like the tongue does. So getting closer to this month, we are a day or two, we enter the holy month of Ramadan. We must enter the holy month of Ramadan with fresh minds. I want to get the most out of this month. Recitation of the Quran Kareem, fasting, praying on time if I wasn't praying on time in other months. I want to get connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, if you look what's happening today at this time and age, and of course in the beginning of the problems or with COVID-19 coronavirus, we saw in many countries people flooding into the supermarkets fighting for toilet paper, fighting for some flour, fighting for some rice. So if you look at what's happening today, you see that this reminds us of what will happen on the day of judgment. And day of judgment, we're talking about billions upon billions of people gathering around. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is about to judge each and every one of us. There, what we face is going to be very, very hard to cope with if we're not prepared. يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون. يوم, a day. لا ينفع مال ولا بنون. Nothing will help you. Nothing, 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 nothing. Not wealth, no children. Wealth, a person is the wealthiest of the wealthiest. If you look at the richest, the wealthiest person in history, if you Google it, you find the wealthiest, richest person in history, not in Quran. Because in Quran, in Islam, we believe that Qarun, cousin of Musa, was the wealthiest. But if you look in history, in modern society, I think it was back in 20th century or 19th century, John D. Rockefeller, who, if you search it, you see that he was an oil tycoon with the wealth of $350 billion. So put together Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Jeff Bezos all together, and yet he's more wealthy than all of them. $350 billion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Shu'ara, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. It doesn't matter how many children you have. If the children are not mu'mineen, are not sulaha, you will not get any of these benefits. And if you are the wealthiest of the wealthy, but you did not spend your money on in the right way. You did not make any schools for people to teach the ulum of Ahl al-Bayt. You did not open any orphanage. You did not open any mosque or help the poor or the needy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, there's not going to be any benefit coming to you because you did not make the most out of what you had, wealth or your children. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except for those that come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a clean slate, with a clean heart, بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. And this is what this class represents. What this class does is that we want to look at our weaknesses. Every one of us has weaknesses. I have a weakness, you have a weakness. Everyone has a weakness. Some people have problems with anger. Some people have problems with takabbur. Some people have problems with the tongue. They say something and then later on they think, oh, what did I say that? And I made a grave mistake by saying such and such. Everyone has weaknesses. And we're here want to address those weaknesses. How can I become a better person, perfect myself, reach the state of perfection? How do I do that? Number one, and of course this is the best one, is to follow the people that are the top of the human beings. They are complete, they are flawless, they are infallibles, they don't have any mistakes, nor do they have any errors, no sins or any of this kind. And there are, of course, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salati wassalam. Following their footsteps, following their example is where we can find out that I have a mistake, I have a problem, I have an issue. And how do I tackle that? Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam, they teach us how to do that. It's like a person who goes into rehab center. And this month of Ramadan, I refer to as a rehab center. I refer to the holy month of Ramadan as to being a rehab center. Why a person goes to rehab? They go into rehab because they know they have addiction. And that addiction is so severe, so dangerous, that it's about to end their lives. It might be drugs, it might be alcohol, or any other thing. They go into rehab, sometimes by force, sometimes voluntary. They go into rehab, and when they enter rehab, what they have in mind is, I want to get rid of this addiction. And the people in rehab center, they know what to do with you. They know how to get you to stop using such and such, how to get rid of this addiction. We enter in the holy month of Ramadan. That is why, and I conclude with this hadith. I'll start there. Inshallah, listen. Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam says to one of his companions, are you fasting today? And remember this, brothers and sisters, maybe I repeated this hadith many times in different lectures, but this hadith teaches us of how important it is and what this month represents. To Muhammad ibn Muslim, one of his companions, هل أنت صائم اليوم? Are you fasting today? He said, yes. نعم سيدي ومولاي, I'm fasting today. The Imam looked at him and he said to him, Ya Muhammad, you're fasting, فليصم سمعك وبصرك وفؤادك. Let your ears and your eyes and your mouth fast as well. That means your ears from the haram, your eyes from gazing, looking at haram, many types of haram out there, and your tongue from uttering many bad things. So it's not just that we don't eat or we don't drink. It's on top of all that, we must change our lifestyle. That is the whole reason of the holy month of Ramadan. Allah gets us into rehab in the time of cleansing, detoxing of one holy month for 30 days, 29 days. You enter the holy month of Ramadan with the full intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened the gates of mercy, the gates of forgiveness, and now here I want to get the most out of it. It's like a person who enters a very exclusive shopping center, and they tell him, we have now 70% off, buy one, get one free. What does he do? Even if he has to get his life savings, he will get to buy some such and such, because he knows he will never get this deal again. He will never come to any of these deals again. That is what's happening in the holy month of Ramadan. It's once into once a year, and we don't know, this might be our last year, this might be our last the holy month of Ramadan. How many people were with us last year and they're not with us this year? Unfortunately, they missing out on this year, and that is why the deceased, when it is on Fridays, and that's tomorrow, inshallah, my tomorrow, because we are ahead of you a few hours. That is why there is a confusion with the timing of the class, and we address that, inshallah, later. We in Sydney, in Australia, we are 7 hours ahead of all of other brothers that are overseas. That is why there might be a time confusion of when is the class time, and I see a lot of decrease in numbers and sometimes increase in numbers because there's a confusion of the class time. So we are entering the holy month of Ramadan, and we should be thinking, and the goal of us is that I want to enter the month of Ramadan, and when I finish the holy month of Ramadan, when I sit down to pray Salat al-Eid, inshallah, in a gathering, after Salat al-Eid, I want to think to myself, and I want to see what did I achieve in this holy month of Ramadan. Many of the people were with us last year, and now they're not with us. As I was saying, on Fridays, the deceased, they come and they look at the mu'mineen and the mu'minat from their family members, and they say this: do as much as you can. I wasn't doing it, and now look at me. I missed out, and you have now the opportunity of reaching perfection, salvation. Read, recite, make the most out of your time. On that note, we want to start the class of حسن الظن وسوء الظن. This is our third topic. Our first topic was about anger. The second one was about shukr. And now inshallah, will be discussing حسن الظن وسوء الظن. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا، يا رب الحسين، بحق الحسين، اشف صدر الحسين وظهور الحجة. Inshallah, you all have the screen. We are going to be speaking about حسن الظن وسوء الظن بالله وبالناس. حسن الظن وسوء الظن بالله وبالناس. So this is a very sensitive topic. Most of our problems, they come out of this, that we have a problem here, a weakness. There's an issue that we must address. We might be ruining the whole day because we have su'ul dhan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhann inna ba'd al-dhanni ithm. O you who believe, avoid most of the suspicious thoughts about other Muslims, for surely suspicion in some cases is a sin. This is one of the translation of this ayah. Another one is, oh, you who have believed, avoid much negative assumption. Indeed, some assumption is sin. So, su'ul dhan, we have husnul dhan and we have su'ul dhan. Su'ul dhan is negative assumption, negative suspicion of this person and that person. And this is triggered by many types of acts. One is talking. A person, when they talk, they say something that unfortunately that's going to cause a lot of problems. So that is what we have. Husnul dhan, that is a positive side, that you must look at the positives, not look at the negatives. So husnul dhan, and on the opposite of husnul dhan, we have su'ul dhan. So you see that Islam teaches us to think positively of others and give them the benefit of the doubt. Benefit of doubt. This is called husnul dhan in Arabic. Su'ul dhan is the opposite of husnul dhan. It means thinking negatively of others. So thinking positively and well of others, this is called husnul dhan. The opposite of it, that we have many problems coming out, it's su'ul dhan. Su'ul dhan. I enter a center, a mosque, a gathering. I say salamun alaikum. Everyone says salamun alaikum except for one brother. And that person, he just ignores me and walks away. Here, I can think differently. One, I can say, you know what, he might be, occupied. He might be thinking, he has a lot of issues. He's thinking about them, or he didn't hear me. Maybe he's coming back to say the salam. I make excuses for the person. This is called husnul dhan. If I do the opposite of it, I do su'ul dhan. Look at him. He disrespected me. How dare he? Everyone else said their salams, and yet this person, he doesn't even say his salam and he doesn't even look at me. So, and based on that assumption, and that is a negative assumption, I seize my relationship with that person. I just end my relationship. I will never speak with him. If he calls me, I don't answer his calls. And later on, I find out that he did not hear me. Simply, he didn't hear me. Or he had a problem. He had a big problem during the day, and his mind was so occupied by it that sometimes this happens to a person, and this is what we're going to speak about. There is some issues they are coming toward us that we can't control. And we think about them so much that we don't know of what is happening in our surroundings. Even though we are sitting in the same gathering, in the same room, we talking to one another, but our mind is all the way out there. And we are so much occupied that we sit in the same place, we can't take on what's happening around us. We can't understand what's happening around us. مشغول الذهن, we say it. مشغول الذهن. So this causes problems when a person has su'ul dhan. Unfortunately, when we see of the community, many people, they have that su'ul dhan. And su'ul dhan, if you start with one person, you accelerate and you go another step up, you go to another person. You go to person number 2, and then person number 3, and then person number 4. Because shaitan, Iblis al-Abalisa, he doesn't want to see the mu'mineen talking to one another and being in a good relationship with one another. He wants to see that they have problems. Why is that? Because when a mu'min comes to this, and we'll be speaking about this in a moment, when a mu'min, he comes to these problems and he, wastes his time, all his time on this. This is the side effects of su'ul dhan. He doesn't have time to pray. He doesn't have time to recite the Holy Quran. He's going to be sitting down, and that su'ul dhan is triggering lies. You can see that it's dominoes, one falling after the other. One, it triggers su'ul dhan, and that itself is a sin. As you see in the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhan, inna ba'd al-dhanni ith. O you have believed, or you who believe, avoid most of suspicious thoughts about other Muslims, for surely suspicion in some cases is a sin. So avoid it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So number one, the first domino is what? Su'ul dhan. And that one falls down. The other one is what? Lies. Lies comes from one place to another. And unfortunately, in many of the societies, in some of the communities, unfortunately, not just that we go into a gathering and we see a problem with a brother or with a sister, sometimes the news comes to us. Maybe a tweet, maybe an Instagram post, maybe a message, maybe a WhatsApp message, maybe a phone call that says this person did such and such a act, that this was against you. It was aimed at you, and it was not true. So the first domino, su'ul dhan. And then second one, lies. And then third one, ghiba, backbiting. Of course, when a person has su'ul dhan and tell me if this is not true, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not going to let it go. He's going to talk about it. She's going to talk about it. And the whole day goes out of the window. The whole day goes out of the window, and she wants to get that out of their system. So what do? They sit down and start to backbite, ghiba, because he has that in his heart and he wants to get it out. And that is su'ul dhan, triggering all of these. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, the one who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the believers, don't you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhan. This is not only about your well-being and religious side of the equation. It's also about you being in a comfort mind. If a person sits down every day, Fulan said something, this person said something about me, and another person said something else about me, his whole life will be wasted away because he has negative assumptions about such and such. So su'ul dhan is thinking negatively of others. Positive side is husnul dhan, and we should have this positive way of looking at life with everything. If we have that positive side of looking, the positive way of looking at life, we will have what? We will have this comfortable, free, stress-free mind, that we don't have any of this anxiety and the stress and the depression. So a person says something to us, but we are not sure what she meant. Did he or she mean to praise us, or was she being sarcastic and was actually insulting us? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, whenever you have a questions, brothers and sisters, Ahl al-Bayt have the answers. And if you don't find the answer, it's not that they don't have the answer, it's that because you do not look hard enough. So Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam talks about this scenario that happens in our daily lives, and he says, قال علي بن أبي طالب عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام أمير المؤمنين, if someone says something to you that can mean a good or bad thing, always assume the good, i.e., give them the benefit of doubt. And if someone thinks well and good of you, then make what he thinks come true. So give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that this is good. Don't go on the negative side, because a person can think of anything and everything on the negative side. This is his choice. This is their choice. A person can live his life with stress, anxiety, anger, depression, negative thoughts about this person, not that person, or he can live his life stress-free. He can live his life happy. And one of the keys of happiness is this, that a person thinks, positively about others, his brothers and sisters. Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, son of Mary, alayhi tahiyyati wassalam, says to the people of his time, because the Christians, the name Christianity did not exist in the time of Jesus. So Isa ibn Maryam was telling Bani Israel, the Israelites, and he was talking to them. He said he was addressing them, and he was saying, "O slaves of evil, O slaves of evil." Isa was known to be very kind when he spoke, but here something was really bothering him. So he said to them, addressed them by saying, "O slaves of evil, how come you blame others purely on suspicion, but you never blame yourselves even though you are sure, i.e., although you are certain of the wrong you have done. You never blame yourselves, but you easily blame others, though you have no certain proof of the wrongdoing. So Isa ibn Maryam, alayhi salatu wasalam, here says, on a suspicious, thought, you blame others. But when it comes to yourself and you are certain you are wrong, you don't take the blame. You don't take the responsibility. And this is what's happening in many of the communities, that we don't take responsibility. And that is really problematic, that if a person doesn't take responsibility, knowing that I'm wrong, I'm doing something wrong here. If everyone does that, every individual does that in the society, in the community, you'll find the community much different. What do you think the Imam of our time doesn't come? One of the reasons is this, that the Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, when he sees a Shia means a follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, he does such and such, but he does not take any responsibilities of his actions. So why does he want to come and appear to see such a person that is not willing to take responsibility of his action? Not just that we say it was such and such who did this to me. Sometimes you see people, they blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their actions. Blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of what's happening. If he does something haram, he says, well, Allah got me into this. Allah made me, suffer in this time and age, and everyone else was doing good, and I went into this wadi, this valley of sins, and he was blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he had a whole life of blaming others, other people, fulan and fulan in the community, or his family members. Now they're all finished. The whole list is done. Now who's left? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is very problematic when a person does such a thing, because when you don't take responsibilities, and this is what Isa here means, that you don't take responsibility for your own action. What you're doing here is you saying that fulan and fulan made a mistake. It wasn't me, it was someone else. And that's what we say. It is to point fingers at others. We love to do that. Many people, they love to do that. They say, fulan did that. We love to point fingers. Is that I don't have the problem in my house. I don't have the problem within myself. He has a problem. She has a problem. So we love to point fingers at one another. We never take responsibility. It's always someone else's mistake. It's always someone else's problem. It's always someone else's fault. So number one thing is that we must clean up house. Clean up house before you enter the holy month of Ramadan. Clean up house before we reach the Laylatul Qadr. That means you see there's a problem in your own house. You have an issue in your own house. So I give you an example. It's like someone goes to the neighbor and knocks on the door and tells the neighbor, how come your front yard is so dirty and the grass is so high? Why don't you go and mow the lawn? And you have so and so of rubbish in front of your front lawn and it doesn't look good. So the neighbor comes out and looks and says, what are you talking about? Your house is worse than mine, 10 times worse than mine. Go clean up your own house before you come and tell me to clean up my house. So this is what's happening. We love to point. We never point this way. We never say me. I'm the one who made a mistake. I'm the one at fault. Let me fix up my problems, my faults, my errors, my mistakes, before I have negative thinking, suspicions of others, and that is su of one, that we, as if we don't have anything else to do, or better things to do. So when you enter the holy month of Ramadan, that's an example, and you waste your time away of blaming this person and that person. By the time you finished, you see the holy month of Ramadan finished. Did you recite one page of the Holy Quran? I did not have the time. Did you recite one supplication for Mafatih al-Janab? I did not have the time. One hadith of Ahl al-Bayt? Did you make the most of Laylatul Qadr? One of the brothers was saying, I never go to a gathering, a center when they have a'mal of Laylatul Qadr. Why? He said, because after we do the a'mal, and what he was saying was 50-50. It wasn't all true, but it happens, unfortunately. After we finish the a'mal, we sit down on to have the meal, the suhoor, and we talk. We talk, we go west, we go east, we go north, we go south. Suddenly, we start to do ghiba. As if the all a'mal that we did, Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alf shahr, did not have any impact on me. So I don't go there. Because I know this is going to be wasting my a'mal and throwing it out of the window. So brothers and sisters, when you enter the holy month of Ramadan, have this heart that is clean. I have suspicion on that person and that person, remove those. When you do such a thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He sees that you have a clean slate, He gives you also a clean slate. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. Brothers and sisters, I recommend you memorize this hadith, and not just memorize it, but know it and apply it to your life. احمل أخيك واحمل أخاك المؤمن على 70 محملا من الخير. Find for your brother in Islam 70 excuses to justify her action. He did not say salam. 70 excuses. You make up for him. You make up for her. Maybe he's occupied. Maybe he had a phone call, very bad phone call. Maybe he had some problem at home. Maybe give him benefit of the doubt. Not one, not two. The Prophet ﷺ says, 70 mahminan min al-khayr. Justify his action from khair. Say that maybe there's an issue there that I don't know about. And most of the times, or sometimes all of the times, this is what's happening. In reality, he has a problem, she has an issue that she has to, or he has to deal with, and that is why this action, or salam, or whatever it was, it occurred. And the person that did not have the intention to harm another person. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam again says, "Ahmal akhaka al-mu'min ala 70 mahmalan min al-khayr." Find for your brother in Islam, so brother and sister in Islam, 70 excuses to justify her action. When you do such a thing, you will have a clean heart. You don't have the hatred. So most of the time you see people, hatred consumes them. Hatred takes over because it leads to hatred. It leads for you to break up with a relationship with them. You don't answer the phone calls. And this is what Shaitan wants. Shaitan, what he's aiming at is the tafriqah. He wants everyone to sit in a corner and they don't talk with one another. So, heart of the worshipper, and we are about to enter the holy month of Ramadan, the heart of the worshipper is the heart that is clean and pure from all of this. That is what the Prophet says, احمل أخاك على 70 محمل. احمل أخاك على 70 محمل. عن إمام الصادق عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام says, إذا بلغك عن أخيك شيئا تنكره فالتمس له عذرا واحدا إلى 70 عذرا فإن أصبته وإلا قل لعل له عذرا لا أعرفه. What does the Imam say here? He says, if something happens, and the Imam here says more than 70, more than 70. The Prophet says 70. The Imam here, of course, the Imam is following the footsteps, the legacy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He adds to what the Prophet said. He says, if something happens from your brother in Islam, your brother, your friend, your neighbor, whoever it was, make for him excuse, 1 to 70. 1 to 70. If you don't find, you don't hit the target, you aimed wrong, say that maybe he has something that I don't know about. You finished up all the 70, but here you say, you know what, maybe it's something that I can't think of. لعل له عذرا لا أعرفه. Maybe he has an excuse, or maybe he has an issue that I don't know about. So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi الصلاة والسلام also says in a hadith في كلام له ضع أمر أخيك على أحسن حتى يأتيك ما يغلبك منه ولا تظنن بكلمة خرجت من أخيك سوءا وأنت تجد لها في الخير. So assume that the best of the people. But we said in the beginning of the lesson, حسن الظن وسوء الظن بالله وبالناس. It's not just we have negative assumptions about people, we also have it on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say that Allah, He did this to me because, and we go on and on and on. So the mind is so much diseased that starts with human beings, starts with the family members, friends, neighbors, and then accelerates, goes to another level up, goes to the creator of the universe. So the mind is infected. The mind is gravely misjudging, or it's making wrong assumptions here and there, and that is what su'al dhan is. We have su'al dhan billah azza wa jal. We have su'al dhan billah azza wa jal. We have husnul dhan billah azza wa jal. What does that apply? Where does it come into picture? It's before I speak about that, let's speak about the benefit of husnul dhan. When a person is always on the positive side of things, and he's always thinking positively about fulan and fulan, what happens here is Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wassalam says in his hadith, and this is a short hadith, but it's a beautiful hadith. He says that husnul dhan yukhaffiful ham. Husnul dhan yukhaffiful ham. Positive thoughts, what does it do? Makes you carefree. وَيُخَفِّفُ هَمَّكَ. يُخَفِّفْ هَمَّكَ. You're not in that much stress, thinking 24/7, and your mind doesn't go to sleep because you have that negative assumptions about everyone, even about your partner, your wife, your husband. And that leads so much badly to divorce. As one of the brothers was saying, I had a very bad assumption about my wife, and I based my thinking and my life on that bad, negative assumption, and I was suspicious of her. It came to the point that I divorced her. And later on, I found that I made a grave mistake. And it was so much though that I went back to her, asking her to come back to me, come back to our life, and she refused. I ended my life because of one negative assumption, one negative thought that led me to finish off my marriage life because I was suspicious of her, that some money was missing. It's about money, not other things. Some money was missing, and I was thinking that she took it. Who took it? And then I assumed that she took it, and it came to the point that I divorced her. And later on, I found that the money wasn't taken by anyone, but I placed it in a different place. Brothers, for a person must sit down for moments and think. I'm not talking about moments in a matter of minutes. I'm talking about days, weeks before we judge, before we pass sentence. When we pass sentence, we might not come back from that. We judge, and then we pass sentence to the other person, and we destroy all the relationship that we have with them. Now, so the key of happiness, is not wealth. It's not having the best of the houses. It's not having the best of the cars. The key of happiness is for you to have a mind and a heart that it's clean and pure. If this happens and you are living in a slum, even if you're living in a slum, if you have a pure mind and a heart, you will be carefree, you will be stress-free, and you will be happy. And that is the key of happiness. So, حسن الظن بالله عز وجل. Always have the best thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this comes with the dua, because most of the time the connection is with dua. When we ask Allah for something, for some people, when they supplicate and they beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for one thing or another, they expect for it to be delivered the next day, as if this is, Amazon Prime. The next day they will come and knock on the door, and they will deliver to him or her. Sometimes there is a reason for the delay of the dua, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer your prayers. There is a reason. It might be for your own good that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't deliver to you. One of the times I was in Mashhad Imam Rada, inshallah, we all go to ziyarah of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rada alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, Imam al-Ru'uf, Gharib al-Tus. I was sitting down, it was 2, 3 in the morning, I was reciting some ad'iyah next to the Darih. Suddenly a young man came to me, and he sat next to me for a moment, and he was getting closer, and then I looked at him, I said, do you have anything you want to ask me? Faddal. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. He said, Sayyid, I have a problem. I said, go on. He said, I am very upset with him. And he was pointing at the Darih of Imam al-Rada. I looked, I thought there's a person standing there. I didn't know that he was talking about Imam al-Rada. I said, who? He said, I'm upset with him. Him. I said, you mean Imam al-Rada? He said, yes. I said, how come? Long story short, he was there for more than an hour speaking with me, and he wanted to get it out of his system. He was so upset. It was a story of him asking Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam to get him a woman that he fell in love with and he wanted to marry, and it became so much of a problem that he was saying, I did not come for ziyarah of Imam al-Rida for 1 year, and he lives in Mashhad. For 1 year, I did not come for ziyarah because I was upset for Imam al-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam, and I was disappointed. Why? Because I did not get married with that woman. We had a discussion, and we came to a conclusion that that woman wasn't, good for you. One, she's not from the same, family. She doesn't have the same traditions. She is, the way they live their lives is way different than yours. And on top of all this, you are married. You got married with another woman, alhamdulillah. And you have children with her, but he's still thinking about that woman. And also, that woman is also married, and she has a child, but he's still spying at her. Alhamdulillah, we came to the conclusion that this wasn't in your best interest. What I want to get out of this is that the dua might be not answered for such and such reasons. One of them is this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is not in your best interest to have, this lifestyle or have what you're asking for, because that's going to be problematic for you. That might, consume you from within. But you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if Allah was giving everyone whatever they wanted, what kind of a life will we be living? This life is a life of test. This word, su'al dhan, comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Su'al dhan comes to the Imam. I'm upset with him. This is what comes out of su'al dhan. I'm upset with him. Why? I'm disappointed with him. Why? Because he did not give me such and such. And I have negative assumptions, negative thoughts, negative suspicion of the Imam that he did not give it to me. Why? Am I the bad person? Or he doesn't want to give it to me? Or he's not the Imam? So one thing leads to another. So here we have to have husn al-dhan billah azza wa jal. If my dua, my prayers were not answered, the delay is because there are issues that must be addressed by you. They must be addressed by you to answer them. And most of the times you see that the dua, the prayer that you do, is not in your best interest to have it. Later on, you find out, maybe a month later or 2, 3 months. For example, I'll give you an example, and this is the last of the examples and the end of the class. I had a brother that he was about to buy plane tickets to go overseas in this time, before it was about in February, and he wanted to travel in March, and he didn't buy them. He had a problem in his home with his wife, and the children were very upset. Why are we not going overseas? We're waiting all this time to go overseas. They didn't know about what was happening until now, that the airports will be shut. You will go into lockdown. The country that he wanted to go to, it's in full lockdown, full 24 hours lockdown. One person is only allowed to come out of the house to go buy groceries. So he said, Sayyidina, we sat down, me and my family, we were very upset, and we were blaming this person, that person, that person, that person. And then we came to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we said, Allah doesn't want us to travel. Allah doesn't want, I've been a good person. I've been a good worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why my prayers are not being answered? That I wanted to travel and didn't happen. When this happened, the full lockdown, and the whole world, if you look at it now, is affected by this, I came to my senses, subhanallah. Is this why, I did not have the chance to buy the tickets, and we did not travel? And if I travel, I'll be stuck in the house. I can't come back. And of course, I can't enjoy the time I was there. I will be in full lockdown, and I have to look for a way to come back. SubhanAllah. You find that many of the issues is raised because of this, that we don't know the reality of it. We don't look at the full picture. If we don't look at the full picture, we have these problems. So this is the class about حسن الظن وسوء الظن بالله عز وجل وبالناس. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, they made the most out of this. I'm inshallah, I will be preparing the previous lessons. There's just a finish touches I'm putting on them, the previous PowerPoints. With this one, will be posted on the Telegram page. And inshallah, we'll be addressing the class time, because what happened was we had it on the schedule, and later on we found out that, well, the community found out that the issue is that in Sydney, Australia, we are 7 hours ahead of any other countries, any other cities. And today, for me, it's Tuesday, and still, sorry, not Tuesday, Thursday, and it's still Wednesday for you. That's why you see on the timetable, I'm not on the timetable. I'm actually on the timetable tomorrow, your tomorrow. And inshallah, we see if either we change it there, or I change the timing myself. I come on another day. That means if it's a Tuesday class, I must teach on Wednesday. If it's a Thursday class, I have to teach on Friday. Saturday class, I must teach on Sunday. So the whole timing will be changing for me. Or we just change it on the calendar. We see the best way, and we will announce it as soon as possible. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your time. I ask you don't forget me in your dua. Inshallah, now we go to the questions. I just have. Okay. Okay, one of the brothers or sisters is saying that could you please upload your lessons to YouTube, and could you also please send your lesson presentation on Telegram? Inshallah, the lesson presentation will be sent today. Inshallah, the lessons are already on YouTube, on my personal YouTube channels at Hasan Almodarresi. You can find them there. They're all there. Again, another person says, please upload them on YouTube. They're already on YouTube. I will be putting the link there. Said Hasan Al-Mudarrisi. No, one of the, I don't know if it's a brother or sister. I just assume it's a brother or a sister. So thank you for this amazing lesson, Imam. How does husn and su' al-dhan apply when judging historical figures like the Sahaba of the Prophet? No, here it doesn't apply husn al-dhan or su' al-dhan. We're talking about people that, for example, I'll give an example of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. I can't say, oh, it's so bad to assume something about him. We know who Muawiyah was. We know who Yazid was. Um, and they're all facts in the books. So this is not something that we call su'adhan. I'm talking about our daily lives with our friend, with our family members, with our neighbors, with whoever comes to have a conversation with us. So with historical figures, for example, Saddam Hussein, Muawiyah, Yazid ibn Muawiyah, Khalid ibn Walid, the Sahaba, the so-called Sahaba, the people that we know about their actions and we um, know of what they did in history. This is not su'adhan. This is what is written in history. This is reality of it. I'm talking about what's happening in our communities, and this must be addressed to a point that if you are carefree, you have husnul dhan for everyone, you have a wonderful life, and it's a key of happiness. If a person is such a character, in such a attitude of having, positive thoughts about everyone and all brothers and sisters. Well, there's a question that says a lot of the negative thoughts actually end up being true. I don't know if all of them, or according to these, a lot of negative thoughts. So if you listen to your negative thoughts, it protects you from people who could potentially harm us. Isn't that a good thing? As long as we don't be horrible back to them based on our thoughts. Not all the time, not all the time. And if we are truly the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalu salati wassalam, we, as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam says, احمل أخاك واحمل أخيك على 70 محمل. That means that make for them 70 excuses. We might have a negative thought. Yes, that's right. But we can't judge the person on that negative assumption, on that negative thought straight away. If that is true, the way we deal with them must be so moderate, it must be so much calculated that we don't burn the bridge. And by burning the bridge, I mean that you don't close all ties with them. You leave something out there. You leave some way of you coming back to them. Or on top of 70 excuses, ignoring the problem, ignoring the issue might be in your best interest. Look at what is in your best interest. This is one of the reasons of this class, that we look at what is in our best interest. If that is going to get me all riled up and it's going to make my heart from being pure and kind and clean, making it go into phase that it's going to be black and more black and black and black, you come to the point you have negative thoughts about everyone. That's why if you see a piece of paper, a piece of paper, if I show you a piece of paper and I tell you what's on that piece of paper, and you look at it, you say to me, Sayyidina, well, it's a piece of paper. But later on, if I tell you what's on the piece of paper, what's on piece of paper right now? It's a dot. You see, you say, Sayyidina, there is a dot. True or not true? So that dot, it's noticeable. And what's happening to the heart is with the first assumption, you put in that black dot on it. And this also applies to sins. And you add to it another one and another one. And you end up having this heart that is always in negative thoughts and it's always having problems. So what is in my best interest? Having the 70 excuses for him. Imam al-Sadiq says 70 plus. Rasulullah says 70. Imam al-Sadiq says 70 plus. Ignoring the issue. If this is not going to be problematic for me, it might be just a salam, it might be just a greeting, it might be that he didn't invite me to his wedding or he didn't invite me to a gathering. That's going to be a problem that I'm going to occupy myself and think about it all week, all month, all years. Or I'm just going to assume that this person forgot, make excuses for them. So I don't think it's all the time. It might be one or two, but not all the time. Allah guide every one of us to the right path. This happens. We don't. No, it's one of the, I assume it's a sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And what she is addressing here is a problem that she has with her mother-in-law. And I think 99% of the women, they have problems with the in-laws. So not just the women, even the man, they have problems with the in-laws. Here and there, of course. Okay, talking with your husband about the issue and you have the intention of easing the pain, easing the tension in the house or in the family, this is not a ghiba. Your intention is pure. You want to solve the problem, solve the issue. So, of course, speaking with your husband, this is actually a very good step, that you don't come to a conclusion, you don't say something that is going to be problematic. What you're doing here, you're finding a solution. Brothers and sisters, sometimes it's hard to deal with some individuals. It's really an issue. And here where you find, we are at the beginning of the class, of course. We are at the beginning of the classes of ethics. And if you remember on our first class, I said this, and if you want to have a good akhlaq, good manners, the makarim al-akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt, alayhim salatu wassalam, and the salihin and the abidin, it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a long time for a person to reach good akhlaq. And when I say good akhlaq, sometimes people they assume good akhlaq is just coming for a person to say salamu alaikum and greetings and hugging and smiling in face. It's beyond that. Beyond that. It's dealing with your anger. It's dealing with, as we discussed today, husnul dhan and su'ul dhan, dealing with the tongue. So it takes uh, a hard time. It takes a hard while for a person. It's not impossible. It is possible for them to reach to a level that is, a level of perfection, or maybe less, to a level they don't have these issues. Everyone has these issues. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had these issues. Rasulullah had issue with two of his wives, not one but two. But you see the how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam dealt with it. You might have a problem in the house, and this is for me, and I ask for everyone else. For a moment, when you have a problem, just take one step back and think to yourself, how am I going to deal with this? To a way that I'm not going to make a problem that I can't repair, I can't fix later, not burning the bridge. And what can I say that is not going to be an issue to a point that it's going to consume me? It's going to ruin my whole week, my whole month. This is one. Number two, sometimes we hold on to the problem as if there is no other solution. There's no apologizing for that's going to solve it. There's no ignoring it that is going to solve it. I'll give you an example. A person says something to another, and the other person already spoke about it. For a woman, she worked all day at her house. She's been taking care of the children. She has been vacuuming, making lunch, dinner, cleaning the kitchen. And then the husband comes from work and suddenly he says to her, "You haven't done anything. Nothing was done today." So the woman, of course, gets upset. She has all the right to get upset. And what happens here is the next day she's upset. And the man addresses that and says, "I didn't mean it like that. I was referring to something else. Or I was angry at the time, but you know me. I've been thanking you all this time. Throughout the years, I've been thanking you. And now I've been helping you." This is an example I had with one of the brothers that he had this problem. So the next day, she's upset, of course. He talks with her. He says to her, "I didn't mean it like that. No, no, don't touch me. Don't talk to me." The next day, she doesn't talk. The day after that, she doesn't talk. She's upset. She is screaming at home. She says, "I will not do anything anymore. You do yourself. You take care of the children. Don't go to work. You do everything yourself." So she goes into that phase. And that leads to a week, and then another week, and another week. So what's happening here is that the person is holding on to the problem and saying, "No way you can solve this. No way." Okay. That leads to a month of stress, a month of going back and forth between the two. What happened here? There's two issues. One, the husband made a mistake. When he was angry, he said something he didn't mean, and he said it. He didn't think for a moment that, what am I saying? This woman has been awake since morning, taking care of the children and doing such and such, and yet I destroyed all her efforts and all her hard work with one word. That is one. And that is the issue of anger, as we discussed. See, one falls after the other. And the other one is that tasamuh. The second one, I will be speaking about that inshallah one day. Tasamuh. How a person takes something into his or her heart for a whole week, whole month. If you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you repent to Allah, you say, "Astaghfirullah Rabbi atubu ilayh." After you having the intention that I will fix all these issues and I will not do them again, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with all His mercy, He forgives. I'll give you an example of Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi came to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam on the day of Ashura, and his head was bowed down. And Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi is a great example for every and each one of us. And I don't want to get to that. We are more than 1 hour in. So Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi comes to Imam al-Hussein and his head bowed down. The Imam looked at him and said to him, أحر هذا? Yes, Sayyidi wa Mawlai. I'm here to repent. What did the Imam say to him? In Tubt, Tab Allah alayk. The Imam, alayhi afdal salati was salam, Imam al-Hussein and other Ahl al-Bayt, other families, family of Rasulullah, the Imams, the infallible Imams are a great example for a person not to have problems with their in-laws. Of course, you're going to have all this. You're not going to be stress-free. You're not going to have a beautiful life without any problems. It's going to be here and there. This is the test. This life is a test. So if you base your life on Ahlul Bayt, of how they talked with their companions, how they talk with people, you find this is the right way for me to take another step in. So Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi is the one that got the Imam and his camp, his family members, his companions into this trouble, into this problem. He got them into Karbala. The Imam could have told him, you know what, I don't accept your apology. You can go back to Umar ibn Sa'd. You can go back to his army base and you can fight with me because you are the one that got me here. But the Imam looked at him and he smiled and he said, In Tubt, Allah. This is the issue that we can address here, brothers and sisters, that we don't hold on to a problem so much that I make it big. I can make the problem small, I can make it small, or I can make it huge. It's my choice. It's my choice. A person might give us cold shoulder. I can make this problem so big that I end up my relationships, or I can just ignore it. If you look at that, this might be one of the issues that we can address. Inshallah, as we go into more lessons and more of the ethical manner of Ahlul Bayt alayhim traditions, you can see that one after the other will answer your questions. No. How does the 70 excuses apply to world leaders or people who took power from the Ahlul Bayt? No, this doesn't apply to any of them. So you don't make 70 excuses for Trump. No, you don't do that, because you can see what he writes down on Twitter. Twitter is, that's what he means. That's what he's intending for everyone to understand. You don't make excuses for the ones who took power from Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalu salati wassalam, because their intention, and we know what they were aiming at. So this is another issue. Of course, you don't do that. As I mentioned, I'm talking about your daily lives and what's happening in your life now. You face to face or on phone call with your friends, with your family members, and so on and so forth. They come to you directly, or your family, that you make excuses for them. You try to ease the pain or ease the problem or find a solution for the problem before it gets bigger. As I mentioned, you can make it small, the problem. It might be a huge problem. The way you take it down and make it small and you find a solution for it. Or you can make a small, atomic, very small problem. You can make it huge. This is your decision. And how you deal with it, it's your decision. You can make that either this way or that way. But you must look which one is in your best interest. Which one is going to solve the problem that I'm not going to lose my sleep at night. Another question says, Okay. If we know, brothers and sisters, this is a summary of this question. The question is saying if, benefit of the doubt, husnul dhan, might make you weak and, and making you vulnerable to others, and they may take advantage of you. And assuming 70 good things about the mu'mineen, how does, might be fooling yourself, continue to fool yourself, I'm making 70 excuses for them. uh, some people that deserve to have that 70 excuses. They've been good all their lives with you. One thing might occur that you must give them the benefit of the doubt. And of course, there are others, in their nature, they have this kind of attitude to destroy your life. This is the different personalities you're dealing with. One is that friend of yours that has been your friend for years and years, or a family member that their nature is not this. They have a different attitude, that this might be a problem here, that I can find a benefit of the doubt, I can find an excuse for them and solve the problem. Other people you might find in the community, maybe a one or two people, their attitude, the way is that to make your life hell. And here you must stop them on the right way. And this is what we have Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahi anil Munkar. That you ta'muruhu bil Ma'ruf wa tanhahu anil Munkar. No, no. There is no tradition that makes a person weak. This is not how Islam operates. Islam is a complete religion. Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salatu wassalam, when they teach us one thing and another, they don't want us to be weak. The mu'min must be strong. A mu'min, one of the sifat of the mu'min, if you look at one of the characteristics of a mu'min, is that she will never apologize. That means what? That means they don't get into trouble, into problems for them to apologize. So Islam doesn't want a mu'min that is always, his head down and he's always weak, and a person comes and hits him on the head and he goes around and everyone, takes advantage of him or her. No, Islam is not about this. Islam, Ahlul Bayt alayhim want to give you a whole picture, but it's not in one tradition or two. It might be in different traditions that complete the picture for you. So husnul dhan and su'ul dhan, this is one part. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahi al munkar is on another part. So this person's nature, his characteristics is that he wants to make your life hell. Here, there must be a line drawn that this is your boundaries and you are overstepping your boundaries and you must take a step back. And you don't make excuses for them because this person. You make the calculation of who this person is. Sometimes, no, you know this person for years and he's been good and kind to you all this time. Does she deserve the benefit of the doubt? If yes, you go into this. If not, and this person is a problem, you go into Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. So it depends who you're dealing with. There's a lot of questions. There's more than I think 20 left. I maybe one or two, and then we conclude with the daras. Yes, it is beautiful hadith of Nabi Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, and it's truly a beautiful narration by the Prophet that many people that don't look at he addresses them by or worshippers of evil or the followers of evil, and he was bothered at the time. So this wasn't a question, it was just saying it was a beautiful hadith of Nabi Isa. There's another one about Nabi Isa, Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam. Oppressors in our lives. No, again, no oppressors. No. We're not talking about oppressors. We're not talking about Saddam and so on and so forth. I don't make excuses for Kim Jong-un or Trump or any other world leaders. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about We're talking about the community that we have. All people now pointing this winter now was I. Yes, thank you. I share this with the brothers. It's a hadith by Nabi Isa who says that all people, why do you point out the splinter in your brother's eye when there is a log in your eye? Yes, definitely. This is a beautiful hadith that we look at others' mistakes, but we forget about our own. Uh, no, the hadith doesn't mean that brother in Islam. Hadith akhak, akhak. That's what he says. 70 uh, excuses for your brother. When he says brother, it means brother in Islam and the one you're dealing with. You find 70 excuses for them and you have the benefit of the doubt for them. How you positive the assumption, but at the same time, be cautious. What about having negative thoughts about the process? No, again, there's a again about the classes. Yes, they are all on YouTube, and inshallah, I will be posting the the presentation on Telegram page. Inshallah, I'm just finishing the last touches on the Shukr will be also reposted. There's a bit of mistakes that must be fixed, and inshallah, I'll post all of them online on the Telegram page. God bless you, brother. Thank you. Inshallah, you have productive day. One of the brothers is asking also again for the YouTube channel to be posted there. Yes, I post them on the YouTube channel among with other classes. I do have other classes that I post them on Instagram and Facebook and live on YouTube. Yesterday we had a class about ahkam of fasting, so they're all on YouTube channel. How can someone practice his manners with his family? So of course you start with your family. This is the whole point of this. When it comes to this akhlaq, you start with your family. Anger management first at home, that you don't become angry on your wife or your husband or your children or so on and so forth. They're all deserving to have the best of our good akhlaq. And husn al-dhan is starts with home, and we remove su al-dhan first from home, and then we go into other places. Assalamu alaikum. The timing of the lessons, I'm fine with any other timing. Even I told the organizers today that if need be, I'm fine to change it to another day. Um, and the reason I asked them 7:30 in the morning, and they were surprised that why 7:30 is that because of many reasons. One of them being that 7:30 for me, it's a good time. For example, a brother from Canada says, sorry, our sister, I think, a sister from Canada says it's 5:30 p.m. So 5:30 p.m. in Canada, that's good. I think it's 9:30 in London. So most of the places that time might be good time. Um, Entering the holy month of Ramadan, we might look at what we can do to make it more flexible for you, so you don't sit down for the class during the iftar. I don't know if it's iftar time 5:30, but maybe some country. MashaAllah, there are a lot of questions. If soon, so one does not manifest. Uh, you saw the hadith of Imam. The brother here is asking, why am I asked to have حسن الظن? قال علي بن أبي طالب عليه الصلاة والسلام حسن الظن يخفف الهم. So it makes you carefree. And I mentioned that if the person deserves your benefit of the doubt, give it to them. It depends who you're dealing with. Not everyone is the same. We're not talking about one type of people. That is the issue that we have. You have to deal with all sorts of people. You have the way you speak with your son or your daughter is way different than the way you speak with your husband or your wife. The way you speak with your wife or your husband is different than the way you speak with your friend. The way you speak with your friend is different than the way you speak with your father. So everyone is different than the other person. No one is the same. Everyone is unique in their way of attitude. And you can tell how this person is. The person might be deserving of your benefit of the doubt. You give it to them. He is all deserving to have not 70, 100 of excuses for me to make for him to justify what he did or just give him the benefit of the doubt. But you might have people, no, they don't deserve that. And this is where you have Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy al Munkar falling down, that you can speak with them nicely, that this really hurt me. And you'll be surprised that that person, and I dealt with this kind of situations before, they come to the senses and they apologize. Even when you find some people that have that way of dealing with others, making problems with others, they still, when you tell them of how much that hurt you, they come and they apologize. That's why we must see of who are we dealing with. The hadith is there. Imam Ali says, yes, حسن الظن يخفف الهم, that for you to be positive, that's going to make you carefree. You're going to be more happy in your life because you have the attitude of being positive. For a person to be always negative, on the negative side, thinking negative of others, assuming, having su'al dhan on every person, that this person said that person that said such and such, his action. I can talk about just a whiteboard marker. If someone gives it to me and I can make stories with this, I can either say the person didn't want that and he wanted to get rid of it, or I can say no, the person, because he thought I need these. And you see the different scenarios I can make for a person. I can make a person saint by them doing something that they gave me a piece of, a gift, or it was a whiteboard marker, whatever it was, or I can make bad assumptions about them. This is my choice how I want to proceed to it. But if you look at what Ahl al-Bayt tell us, they tell us 70 mahmal. 70 mahmal. Make 70 excuses for them for you to be in a status of happiness, that you don't have that problem. Are they all deserving to have that? Are they all deserving to have that? That is the question. If the person deserves to have 70 excuses, make 70 excuses for them. If he's not deserving, the way you deal with them is way different. It's not that if the person means it, he'll go and destroy them, afu anhum. So, you see, one falls after the other. It's not incomplete. If he means what he did, he has all the intention to hurt you, afu anhum. That's what it says. That's why we have hilm. That's we have forgiveness. I just gave you the example of Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. In tub tab Allah alayk, even though he was the reason for the Imam to be in Karbala. So inshallah we'll be speaking about that again, another lesson, and we connect the dots. The dots are not complete. Now we have a half, it's a bit of the picture. We haven't got the whole picture of akhlaq. One falls with the other. So husn al-dhan and su' al-dhan is one part of it. Husn al-dhan and su' al-dhan. If husn al-dhan, if you have that quality, that's fine. If su' al-dhan, how can I address that? If it's true, how can I do this? So it falls down to the different various of topics. And that is why we have the book of I hope everyone downloaded the book أخلاق الآداب الإسلامية. It's a big, thick book of our, ethics, أخلاق, and our etiquettes when it comes to Islam. آه، إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Rasulullah had to deal with all sorts of people. The way he dealt with them is how we learn how to deal with others. If one more question and we conclude. There's another 20 questions I think here left. Um, Inshallah, I will give more time next time for the questions. I know that they must be answered. Some of them that are similar to one another. That's why I'm not reading them. Okay, here sometimes you have a person, it's a question by one of the brothers or sisters who said, Salaamu alaikum wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. I recently had a falling out with one of my relatives and I find myself being very bitter to them. It is due to a long history of problems. How can I push aside my anger with that person and improve my akhlaq with them, even though the problem will still reoccur, i.e., they won't listen to my concerns or feelings. Sometimes, if you make your own calculation, you see it's better for them to be out of your lives, or is he or she deserving to come back to my life? So it depends on the person. If the person is stubborn, uh, they're not willing to change for you, they're not willing to make amendments here and there to keep the relationship, well, that person doesn't deserve to be in the circle of friends or relatives for you that you want to deal with. So it depends on how the person is. Sometimes with one or two conversations, they understand this is not the right way to proceed it. But as I said, husnul dhan and su'ul dhan, there are other roots that are connected to this. There are other dots that when we connect them together, you find the answers to be answered here and there. No, it does not make you weak to have husnul dhan. It doesn't make a person weak to have husnul dhan. Thinking positive, you're doing it for your own benefit. When a person has husnul dhan, he's doing it for his own benefit. What she's doing is, they say this is not deserving for me to have the time of my day wasted on such a thing. That's why the Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wassalam says, يُخَفِّفُ الْهَمْ. No, if a person wronged you, oppressed you, and it's known in the society, in the community, that that person, we know his intention. You know that this person, you just cut off your ties nicely. Even closing up relationship, you don't burn the bridge. Always leave something behind. If any day we go back to it, we go back to our relationship, we're going to go back easily. So without any problems here and there. You don't burn it to the point you say, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of him, get rid of her, and close up all doors, and there's no way for me to go back to them. You leave something behind. But if someone oppressed, oppression is different. For a person to be a tyrant is different. So I gave example of Saddam Hussein. I can't give Saddam Hussein benefit of the doubt. He's the reason for millions of people to die. He's the reason for millions of people to lose their houses. No, here doesn't apply. As one of the questions here mentioned, oppressors. No, it doesn't apply to such characters. No, if they sin, this is the question about sin. If someone or in some person sins openly, if a person sins openly, no, they're not deserving of husnul dhan. They are doing it openly. They're doing it openly. They're not deserving to have any of the benefit of the doubt. هذا إجهار بالسوء وإجهار بالمعصية. And we will speak about that inshallah in our subsequent lessons. We conclude with this. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your time, for paying attention to the lesson. We conclude with dua al-faraj for Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten his appearance. عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا يا رب الحسين بحق الحسين اشف صدر الحسين وظهور الحجة. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, I see you I think in 2 days. Saturday, my Saturday, and it's going to be, I think, your Friday. I will be posting today the lessons on the Telegram page. Thank you for your time. Don't forget me in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.